How we doing, everybody here? Thank you for joining us here for the Ravori Sports Podcast. Like and subscribe to all of our social media content. Check us out on Instagram, Facebook, Rumble, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook. Like I said, Facebook. Definitely going to have a new platform here coming soon, in addition to Kick and all of our other platforms that we have. Definitely to like and subscribe to all of our social media content. Genesis Notary Services, if you're in the Winchester, Virginia, if you know, you know. So we appreciate all of you out there that have been supporting us in that. And Harris Legal Shield, definitely too. There's a live stream up on the channel right now. Harris Legal Shield, if you want to know some information about that, tell you a little bit more what we do with the Legal Shield. And we appreciate all of you guys out there for supporting us in that. And let's bring in our guest that we have here today. So we got a young man aspiring in sports media. You know, I was telling him a little bit before, cameraman, I think people are tired of you old heads that have been bringing on all these grown folks. Here we got a young man going to college here for sports media. And so we're going to get his perspective and what he's seeing on the Orioles and everything that's going on. We got Patrick Moran, the play-by-play man for the Silver Spring-Takoma Thunderbolts here. How are you, sir, today?
I'm doing really well. I'm super excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me, and I'm ready to talk some ball. I love sports, so I'm geared up for this conversation.
Yeah, you're a lot like I was. I've been all my life when I was 18, 17, all that, you know, that was the only adult conversations I would get to have a lot of times with the adults older in my life would be with this subject here. So Orioles are going on right now. I know you're a big Orioles fan like this. We're all dejected is a safe word to say, right? Hasn't went the way we thought so far this year. I haven't been as down on them until the last week or so, where it's really been bad. What's the biggest problem? I mean, what do you think like this? What do you think is all the issues that the Orioles have had this year under 500? What's been the biggest issue that you've seen out there, Patrick?
To me, I don't think the team is playing well as a whole. I mean, I like individual performances right now. Like Adley Rutschman getting back to an all-star caliber level is huge, and I love Adley Rutschman. He's my favorite player in baseball right now, so I'm loving what I'm seeing out of him. Pete Alonso's coming into his own, obviously an adjustment on the 5-year deal to come into a new place. Blaze Alexander's been a really nice surprise almost. I know that trade was not favored when that came across the ticker, but he's been really important to this team. And, Taylor Ward has been a steadying presence. Colton Cowser's starting to pick things back up. Dylan Beavers is in the fold. Tyler O'Neill put a good swing on a baseball recently. Samuel Basayo's having a nice rookie season overall, but it doesn't feel like there's a whole lot of gel in this lineup, and that's what's disappointing. I mean, Gunnar Henderson has definitely been underperforming, no doubt about it. Just you can't have it from him. He's kind of the franchise guy, and then the pitching has always been an issue with Mike Elias. Like you're really starting to see the repercussions of not handing out a multi-year contract to a starting pitcher. And while Kyle Bradish, Trevor Rogers, Shane Baz, that's a really good 1, 2, 3. I like how those guys are rolling right now. There's not enough in the back end, although we have seen Brandon Young pitch really well so far. Cade Povich has shown some flashes and such. Dean Kramer made a really good start over the weekend coming back from the IL. So, the pitching's holding up okay. I'm not a huge fan of the bullpen. That's a whole different discussion. But, yeah, it just doesn't feel like things are really coming together. But you never know in a weak American League.
What is wrong with Gunnar? I haven't been as hard on Gunnar because was at least hitting for power. So it seems like, but like you said, he's a franchise guy. We need both. But what's your assessment of Gunnar as far as what do you think is going on with the problem, what the overall problem is with Gunnar?
I don't see too much different in his game, and that's what makes it tough. And I don't know what he can pinpoint, what he can work on to try and get better. But I mean, I'm not a huge fan of the body language. I'm not going to lie. Like, he can get really easily frustrated, and that can maybe leak into offensive struggles. And, you have the defense not looking super sharp at shortstop. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I think he can get overrated at times defensively, and while he's still very good, he can make some great plays. I just don't know if he's consistent enough. So for me, those are the two biggest things I can pinpoint. But yeah, I mean, it's all, at the same time, like it's hard to define what's going wrong for him offensively. I mean, he just doesn't look that different, and all of a sudden, the talent is getting compressed, which is obviously been a huge, loss for the O's and what's kind of weighed them down a little bit.
Like what we've seen from Adley so far this year, Adley has been. I said this is the Adley we've expected, right? This is like when he got the draft when he came into the MLB. Samuel Basallo has also been equally as good. I think this is the one thing we can point to that we would say that we're happy with the catcher, probably the best catcher doing all of MLB. How long do you think it'll continue? Adley's contract and all that. This is the thing. How much do you want to pay Adley with Basallo playing with the way he has?
Obviously, I know fans are kind of clamoring for Basallo to get that everyday catching job, and to me, the Basallo's not that caliber of defender. While Adley is, I think Adley works really well behind the plate. Pitchers have always enjoyed, working with him in terms of just game calling stuff, and he's a really good blocker, and the arm has come along this year for Adley. So I love Adley's defense. I want that behind the plate every day, and the bat has looked great. Like this is the Adley that we were all hoping to see this year, and this is the Adley we saw for the first 2 years of his career. So I'm not ready to hand Basallo the keys. I think he's really raw as a catcher, and the arm was really good. I remember watching him in Bowie, and it was kind of a loose cannon. Like he has got a rocket behind the plate, but it's just like, where's it going? So for me, like Basallo, I like what they're rocking with right now. Kind of with Basallo catching hybrid. He's DHing most of the time, maybe sprinkling some first base. I think it's just working really well. You can see Adley benefiting from Basallo being there and just like having a really strong catching tandem. But, I don't know what Adley's price is going to be. He's had quite a, 6-year run in Baltimore. So by the time he gets to free agency, I don't know what the contract structure is going to be, what a team's going to be willing to pay him. But at the end of the day, I hope it's Baltimore.
Do you think it'll happen though? That sounded more like what you want. That's what do you think they'll? I'm not so sure, honestly. I don't think I don't. I wouldn't mind it either. For the record, I think Adley is a fantastic player when healthy. But yeah, what do you think will happen?
I think honestly, the way the O's have operated under Mike Elias, they're going to get priced out fairly quickly, and if that price goes up for Adley, they might not be willing to pay it, especially because they've already given Basallo the money. So that was a good contract. I think that contract's going to get paid for by the bat for Basallo. But yeah, I mean, I think the O's margin for re-signing Adley is quite thin, unfortunately, and that's a tough place to be. I want them to bring him back and just make him a career Oriole, but the O's do not have a good reputation for spending money, which is disappointing.
Here's a name I think that's been kind of going under the radar in terms of struggle. Everybody's talking about Gunnar. I'm getting more and more concerned about Jackson Holliday, man. His career average is only like 240, really. Not doing great this year. I mean, the only thing I'm really seeing, he's got some pop in his bat. I mean, when he's on the field, he's hitting some home runs, but I do see that he's decent defensively. Can we get Jackson Holliday what we expected out of him as well? Because he clearly got outplayed by JJ and I think Blaze Alexander, in my opinion, so far.
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, like, Jackson looked good. I think he's just a great utility piece when it's all said and done. And, Blaze, I already mentioned him being a great contributor to this lineup. For me, like, Holiday's just so young, and I feel like people are really quick to judge him overall. And I think he just needs time. Like, he's 22 years old off the dome. So, yeah, I mean, like, this is a former number 1 overall pick. and he's learning a new position. He's playing second for the first time. Like, he was a shortstop, and he'd probably still be at shortstop if it wasn't for Gunnar. But for me, I like Jackson Holliday a lot, and
I've never liked
I
that
still think
either,
he
by the way.
has a lot of tread on his tires in terms of what that ceiling could be, although I don't think it's as high as it was, when he was the number one prospect in baseball.
I mean, that's why he moved up quick. That's what a lot of people don't understand. But I think what happened, maybe he moved up so quick. He was so good of a minor league player. He still had some development to fruition. And I think that's what's kind of happening right now. I think maybe he's just learning on the fly as well. Defense has been terrible. I'm much older than you, obviously. We talked, but dude, I've never seen defense this bad on a team. I mean, just fundamental stuff. Not hitting the cutoff man consistently. Base running errors consistently. Taylor Ward just looks terrible as an outfielder. Just not just him. Gunnar, we talked about, rather be at there. I mean, so what's your assessment of that? Like the lack of fundamentals that we've seen here.
No doubt about it. It's been really disappointing for the O's. Tyler O'Neill just doesn't really move that well in right field, even though he did make a nice diving catch on Sunday. Beavers is okay, but he's a young player. Taylor Ward's fine. I like that they're prioritizing Colton Cowser, and I saw recently that he's top 5 and I believe OAA in center field, and now they're just putting Cowser in the lineup regardless of what the offense looks like. So I think that's a good decision to improve this defense. But I mean, yeah, the infielders as well. I already talked about Gunnar. It's disappointing that he's not been consistent. He'll make these super rangy plays one day, and then he'll just have a 2-error night the next. Blaze can play a bunch of different positions, but how good is he at any of them at the end of the day? Holiday's still a work in progress. Pete Alonso has actually been quite good at first, but yeah, I mean, a lot of these guys, they're bat first, and that is definitely costing the O's in the field. It's providing for a not good defensive product, to say the least.
I think that's very nice way to put that it's not good. I mean, it's just, I've never seen this where it's this bad as well. It's hurting the pitching. You mentioned we like the pitching. I think that's kind of where it's showing up. I think there's been some inconsistency on the mound, but Shane Baz, Trevor Rogers, and Kyle Bradish, I think, would have won 1 or 2 more games had it not been for bad defense, I think, in a couple of games, right? What's your thinking overall of the rotation as well?
I think it's in a decent spot. There's not a whole lot of top-end talent. Boz and Rogers have kind of been roller coasters. They can be batting practice one night and then have a really good 7-inning performance the next. And Bradish is still working his way back. It's his first season back from the injury. So Bradish's stuff looks really good. Sometimes it can be off, sometimes it can be on. And, I'm willing to be patient with Bradish. I think he's earned that, being a former top 5 Cy Young finisher. Brandon Young, Cade Povich are filling out the rotation well. Dean Kramer, too. I think Povich is still rehabbing, but Brandon Young's been a surprise. Povich rehabbing, like I said. Dean Kramer, I think coming back is important. But there is no clear-cut ace at the moment, and that's what good teams have. And again, that goes back to the conversation. Mike Elias has never handed out a multi-year contract to a free agent pitcher, which again is cratering this roster. And this is, for me, the bullpen is not good, quite frankly. Helsley, injury kind of has thrown him off a little bit, but he was really good at the outset of the season. Not a Keegan Aiken guy. Grant Wolfram, he's talented, but he hasn't put it together. Rico Garcia, the numbers are kind of coming back down to earth per se. Yennier Cano's been solid. Tyler Wells has been solid, but they can only do so much. I'm not a fan of this bullpen unit. I'm not a huge Andrew Kittredge guy, to be honest. So, yeah, I mean, the bullpen, watching them is kind of tough. I was at Camden Yards on Monday, and they just blew it against the White Sox. So, I mean, the bullpen's not holding up well, in my opinion. Starting rotation's doing a decent job, but again, it's a little bit streaky. And that's just kind of the name of those pitching. They don't typically invest too much in that front.
Cano's been a pleasant surprise. I think I've been pleasantly surprised. If I'm gonna pick one guy, I think as well. Garcia's probably been better than we think. But yeah, he's kind of coming back down to earth a little bit here lately. But you mentioned the man of the hour right now, and that's Mike Elias. What's your overall set? I've had a hard time really wrapping my arms around what Mike Elias is. He's very political. Everything he does is double speak. He never really speaks on anything as well. But the results are what the results are right now. I mean, this is, you're not rebuilding right now. So what do you think happens here with Mike Elias, and what do you think of him?
I think he's done a great job drafting. I mean, the 2019 draft class was outstanding. Adley Rutschman, Gunnar Henderson in the same draft and in back-to-back rounds, and they got a bunch of other pieces like Joey Ortiz, Kyle Stowers, who have, been trade assets to go get pitching on this roster. I think there's another name I'm forgetting, but still, that was a great draft class. And then, he's made the high selections. He's brought guys in that have made an impact in the big leagues, and regardless of where he is and where the O's are in the draft, if they're a top 5, pick, you still got to do the due diligence, see those guys to the minor leagues. And that's what Mike Elias has done. I mean, he's done a great job of bringing the O's up and rebuilding this organization from where it was when, Duquette left it. So, yeah, in that aspect, he's done a great job, in my opinion. But just building out a win now roster, he has kind of failed. Again, it goes back to not giving a multi-year contract to a starting pitcher and just kind of getting cute with, the bullpen and such. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of bottoming out, and you need more top-end talent on the roster in order to hang with, some of the best teams in baseball. So he's kind of let us down in that aspect. I thought, Rubenstein coming in, you could open up the checkbook a little bit more, but Elias is kind of stuck to his same, method. And while it's a good method, right, you need to have that balance. It's still, a little bit one-sided.
I do want to be fair. I do think they've spent more than they were. I think that's fair to say, because you brought in Pete Alonso, you did extend Shane Baz, you did go spend money on Basayo. Maybe not what we were hoping as much, but they have done more. I think that's fair. But I don't know, like some of these decisions. Yeah, I thumbs up on Mike Elias or down. Would you rather have him as the GM going forward, or would you rather not have him? Not as a media member calling for it, okay. But would you rather have him, or would you rather not have him?
I think it kind of depends on the situation. Like, he was really good in the rebuild, but now it's like he's getting exposed a little bit. I would say in the current situation, more of a thumbs down, just because there hasn't really been much change since, the second half of 24, when this team was kind of on a downward trajectory. And, going back to the spending aspect of him, like, yeah, he's definitely spent more than what he was spending under, the Angelos family. But, like, the Tyler O'Neill contract does not look good. And Shane Baz, like, maybe it was early to jump the gun on him, get him an extension. I think, the Pete Alonso thing, it's going to be fine. Like, I understand bringing that guy in, but, it's definitely been a little bit questionable what he's done. And, I would say for where the O's are at right now, maybe more on a downturn. Unfortunately, even though I do really like Mike Elias as general manager.
Why do you like him so much? I mean, just the drafting. I think he's good in the draft. Is that the main thing that you like about Mike Elias?
Yeah, just like his ability to draft. Like, he did. You could say that he hit on every pick, and I know that the numbers would not indicate that, but every first round pick he has made pretty much in that 2019 to 2022 frame has made the big leagues and made at least a little bit of an impact. And like I said, even when you have picks that high, you still need to develop them and get them to the big leagues. It's easier said than done, and I think Mike Elias has done a good job of bringing those guys up, like Richmond, Henderson. Kerstad, he's kind of had a lot of injuries and health concerns. I'm not too worried about him. Like a Colton Cowser should have been Rookie of the Year, and Jackson Holiday is here with this team to be the second baseman of the future. I know Bradfield, Honeycutt haven't made the big leagues just yet, but
I
I
think
still think Michael Ice does a good
Honeycutt's a
job
complete miss.
scouting.
Honeycutt's a complete miss. It looks like as far as that goes. Yeah, the other two, like Bradfield and like Kerstad, you kind of give them an incomplete, because they've had so many injuries and things like that. So that's not necessarily on him as far as that. But Honeycutt, yeah, he's been a complete miss. I watched a game in Frederick yesterday. He was just warning track power. It looks like,
Yeah,
he did that like several times. Like he hit a ball like to outfield. Like with that. The skipper, hard for me again to assess Craig Albanese as skipper. Seeing a lot of the same lineup stuff, though, admittedly, as we did with Manzolino and Brandon Hyde. So it begs the question: how much power you think he actually has, or do you think this is, is that what do you think of him overall, Albanese as the manager so far?
I think it's tough to assess, like you said, because it is so early and he entered such a high pressure situation as a first time manager. And I feel like that can kind of get lost in the shuffle. And you make a great point. And now that I'm thinking about it, like not too much has changed with the lineup. So you do wonder, like, how much can the manager actually do in terms of making an impact in that aspect? I think Albanese is going to get there. Like he's had some growing pains, some learning moments as a first-time manager. Like he's a baseball guy. I remember looking at him when the O's hired him, doing an article and diving deep into how long he's been in the game, and I think he's got a good feel for it overall. He just has to harness it as a manager, and it's gonna come with time, I think. And still, like they're kind of waiting for the results, and I think he deserves a little bit more leash than some people are giving him.
I kind of agree with that. I kind of not as hard on him as well, but the team has underperformed. I mean, I don't think there's any getting around that as well. So, can they turn it around this season? Do you think? Is there any chance of the play? I mean, the only chance I think they have is AL East is just not even good. Just been very mediocre like across the board. But that could change in the second half. Do you think the Orioles have it in them to turn it around?
I think they do. I don't know if they will, but right. I mean, the American League has just not been good overall. A lot of teams have a chance, and the O's have a foundation. If they're gonna buy, I think all they need is a couple of bullpen arms to really shore up that aspect of things. And I don't know what they could go get in terms of offensive help, but the starting rotation is not in a bad place. Maybe you can go add one, and that's not too bad in a seller's market, or I guess a buyer's market, because starting pitching is always at a premium, and the fact that they don't necessarily are in dire straits to get it. Yeah, I just don't anticipate too much turnaround, but in terms of do they have the ability? Sure, the roster is still good. It's just I don't know if it's gonna come together in time. They really got to kick it into gear coming out of the All-Star break.
Yeah, I totally agree with that there. Let's shift a little bit. Ravens football here. So we're here recording this in July. So we still have about a little bit before that. Disappointing season for us at the end of last year. Dude, Patrick, I'm sorry. I can't think of a more rotten way to lose to finish a season than to miss a field goal in Pittsburgh of all places and watch those ugly, terrible towels celebrate the division title that we should have had off of this field goal. So that notwithstanding, back this year, Matabuke is going to be back. You bring in Trey Hendrickson, etc. What do you think the Ravens overall? What do you think? New guy, and also no John Harbaugh. First time literally in your whole life that there's no John Harbaugh as the head coach for the Ravens. Now we got Jesse Minter is the coach. Overall, what do you think so far of what you've seen with the Ravens in the offseason?
I like it a lot, to be honest. Like Jesse Minter coming in, I think is a plus, even though he's never been a head coach. And like it kind of got to the conversation when Harbaugh was the head coach of like, what does he do? Like Harbaugh was a special teams guy before he was a head coach, and when the Ravens were kind of stalling out, like there wasn't anything he could really like improve upon because he's not an offensive mind, he's not a defensive mind. So now to get Jesse Minter, who's essentially like a mini Mike McDonald, who they should have made the head coach, but that's in the past. Super Bowl champ, shout out Mike McDonald. Like
Why don't you
the
say
fact
how
that
you
Jesse
really feel
Minter-
about it there?
Yeah. But I mean, Jesse Minter, like he's a great defensive coach, and what he did with the Chargers was fantastic. So I think for him to come in, he's going to have a clear-cut plan to improve a bottom-end defense for the Ravens, and I think he's going to bring back that smash-mouth football that Baltimore should be known for. Like that, Baltimore should be nose to the grindstone, kind of like street football type of vibes. That's what I want. Baltimore's a great city.
Yeah, but back on Harbaugh real quick. So you were for getting rid of him a couple years ago. Then, if you wanted Mike McDonald as the head coach, like so, you thought that should have happened sooner. Getting rid of Harbaugh as far as before this season.
Honestly, like I said, the Mike McDonald thing more as a hindsight's 2020 type of situation. Like, given the timing of it, Harbaugh wasn't going to get fired after making an AFC Championship game. So that's just, it was what it was. Mike McDonald was going to leave, and Harbaugh was going to stick. Ravens fans had to live with that. And of course, now, like, watching Mike McDonald win a Super Bowl, like, Ravens fans are going to feel that
you look
sting.
at what he's done. I mean, my goodness. I mean, obviously, you missed out. So we're only hoping that Jesse Minter can do what Mike McDonald has done. A lot of changes on offense this offseason. You're gonna get the main players back. You got Lamar's gonna be back, Derrick Henry, Zay Flowers, and Andrews. You call those guys the main players, and you're gonna have Ronnie Stanley back, but you got a lot of new cast members here, like and on the ancillary. I think that's a bigger deal on offense. 2 rookie tight ends, you got 2 rookie wideouts. No Tyler Linderbaum. That's been my followers have been making fun of me because I keep being warm that we don't have Tyler Linderbaum as well. So who do you think emerges to actually help on offense going forward?
To me, I look at the 2 wide receivers that they took in the draft, Kobe Lane, Elijah Surratt. I like those 2 a lot. Just diving into them in a draft breakdown for the Ravens I wrote. Like they're both physical, they're both big bodies, and when you really think about it, Lamar's never had that. Like the best receiver he had up to that point was either a prime Hollywood Brown or Zay Flowers, and those 2 were slot. Those 2 were smaller wide receivers that they're not necessarily these big time playmakers per se, but they're both good in their own right. If only Hollywood could catch the ball. So like for me, bringing in Lane, bringing in Surratt, like kind of double dipping it was a surprise in the draft, but like this new regime is, I think, really innovating. Like you could kind of see Harbaugh, like working the same way, like kind of the definition of insanity, and like he's trying the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. But now, like this new, coaching staff, they want to make true changes, and I think bringing in 2 big-bodied wide receivers is definitely going to do that for Lamar. Like Lane has really good upside for a 3rd-round pick. Surratt can just immediately plug in and play really well. I like what those 2 can bring, and you still have Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers is a Pro Bowl wide receiver, 1,000-yard guy, so. Yeah, I like the 2 receivers that they got a lot, and he's still got Mark Andrews. I'm always going to say Mark Andrews is Lamar's safety blanket. So I think the weapons are looking a lot better for the man under center.
All right, so I won't beat to death the Linderbaum thing, but you definitely had made some changes on the offensive line as well. I'm very, very concerned about center if there's anything. But the guards, I think, is a massive upgrade. Like you had to get Falele out of there, man. You just had to. That was just terrible. I never, if you've watched, I don't know if you've watched Nightcap with Ocho and Shannon Sharp. I've never seen them talk about 20 minutes about an offensive lineman except Daniel Falele, how bad he was. They spent 20 minutes talking about Falele. So getting Ione in the draft or whatever, clear upgrade to you there on offensive guard, definitely.
Yeah, oh, for sure. I mean, Vega Ioane, the bar is so low for him to be good, and he's really talented. Like, Daniel Falawala, I refuse to say his full name. He's just terrible. Like, I had a friend send me, like, this whole video of all the misses that Falawala had, and it was so terrible to watch. It was just, like, infuriating, and I'm really glad he's gone. Like, he just wasn't doing anything. He's practically a piece of paper on the offensive line when you watched it. So, like, Iowane's a mauler on the offensive line. Like, he runs dudes into the ground. I'm really excited for him. And, like, he barely allowed any sacks, if any, at Penn State during his time there. So,
Yeah.
like, he's going to come in, make an immediate impact. And, that is just miles better than what the Ravens had last season. Iowane's going to be a stud. And building up the trenches is really important for Lamar as he, crosses that 30-year threshold.
And I think what the Falele thing, it hurt Rosengarten. Everybody's like confused, like it's just like he couldn't have helped him. Always running into him and always doing weird stuff, and it couldn't have helped him. Bringing John Simpson in, I thought was fascinating in the sense of you didn't want to pay him a few years ago, you let him go. Had you given him the contract you just gave him, you wouldn't have had to go through what you went through. I thought that was kind of like poetic in the sense of that like if you'd have paid him $10 million before, you wouldn't have had to go through all Falele running into people and everything like that. Defense. What do you think of the Crosby thing? The Max Crosby trade that didn't go through. Interesting there. He's still there in Oakland. Just really quick, what you think about what happened with the whole Max Crosby thing?
Yeah, it was kind of an optics nightmare for the Ravens. Like, that trade went through. I was happy about it because, like, initially when I saw that come across the ticker, I think Crosby was, valued at around a 14th pick, and then you hope that the following year's first round pick was going to be low, and you're willing to sacrifice that 14th pick for what it was, and just get one of the best pass rushers in the league, and then the Ravens back out of it, and ultimately, like, I think the pivot plan was good. It just kind of got undermined because it was an optics nightmare. Bringing in Trey Hendrickson and keeping the picks, like, I think that is better team building when it's all said and done. And obviously Hendrickson is not as good as Crosby, but he can still have the same level of impact. And the Ravens really improved the pass rush when they struggled. Like, looking at quarterbacks who played the Ravens, like a C.J. Stroud or a Matthew Stafford, when they came to Baltimore, like, those two were just standing in the pocket for days. And now that the Ravens have a Hendrickson, I'm anticipating, a huge step forward for Mike Green under head coach Jesse Minter. Like, you're getting Madam Bike back, who can be that type of pass rush threat, and you drafted Zion Young in the second round. So, I mean, the Crosby thing was fascinating. Like, it was a huge move, and, like, DeCosta had never traded a first round pick ever, and he traded two for Crosby. But, when the dust settled, like, I think the Ravens are going to be better off for it, even though Crosby is a stud.
Yeah, that was weird. And so you believe too, and just finish that. So you believe it's only because well, I'm not going to put words in your mouth, but you believe had it not been for Hendrickson, do you think he'd have stuck with that? Do you think they'd have just kept Max Crosby and just went forward with the trade?
I think if they didn't get Hendrickson coming off the back out, then that makes the whole situation worse. Like, I think Hendrickson, like, plays a huge factor, and they paid him a lot of money, so obviously he's going to have a big impact as a veteran on this defensive line with a lot of young guys on it. So, like, if the Ravens backed out of the Crosby trade and they just sat on their hands, like, that makes things a whole lot worse. You're kind of
But
compounding the situation.
do you think they backed
Yeah.
out because of Henderson?
Ooh. That's where it gets a little hairy. You could argue that could have been the case, and the Ravens kind of played the system a little bit. It's tough to say. I don't know. I also think the physical was definitely a concern. Like Crosby had the health issues, and but it's a little bit shady from the Ravens. I'm not gonna lie, even though I'm a Ravens fan.
I think it's because of Henderson. I think I've said I think they were concerned with the physical, of course. So I don't think that I don't think it's it wasn't a lie, but it wasn't a complete truth either. Yeah, I do believe had Henderson not been available, I think they would have just went forward with it, injury concerns and all. That's what that's just my opinion. That's not backed up what I think about that there. So how's the defense going to look on the field this year? You got Henderson there. We already talked about Henderson having him. I mean, we know he's going to be a force. I think almost bigger than Henderson is getting Nnamdi Madubuike back. That's huge. They look totally different without him. Kyle Hamilton was outstanding. I thought again last year. I think Kyle Hamilton is fantastic. But there was a lot of problems on defense and things like that. Did they do enough to get it back to like what you were talking about, that nasty football that we're all looking for in Camden Yards?
I mean, it's only up from here, right? Like the Ravens, probably you're not going to see that defense be as bad as it was last season. Like again, Kyle Hamilton, one of the best defenders in the league, period. Like he's the ultimate chess piece. You can put him anywhere you want on the field, and it's so valuable to this team. And I think Jesse Minter's going to have a huge impact in what they do. The pass rush, I think, is going to get better. Like you can expect some of the young guys to take a step forward outside of the D line, like a Nate Wiggins and such. I'm excited to see what the new staff can do, because not only was John Harbaugh not doing anything for the defense because he's not a defensive guy, Zach Orr was not good at his job, point blank. So to move on and like just get some new fresh minds in the building, I think is going to be valuable for this defense, and you're just going to see a lot of improvement, and I'm excited for that.
Yeah. It keeps leaking out again how you feel about Harbaugh there. It's just like that's a couple times there. The Tyler Luke, one thing real quick with Luke. He's gonna be the kicker this year. I think I did on the podcast right after, like, man, we'd have still had Justin Tucker, like kicking that field goal. You never know what happened. Can he bounce back from this? This is something we've never had here with the Ravens. Like, they got rid of Billy Cundiff as soon as that happened a couple years ago when he missed the field goal in the championship game, when he shanked the field goal on New England that would have possibly taken him to the AFC title game. Does Tyler Luke, does he bounce back? Can they bounce back from this? Hopefully this year. He's still young.
Yeah. I mean, it was an extremely tough situation for him, like going into Pittsburgh and missing that field goal. Like, I think I remember like the play before where the Ravens kind of like messed up something, if I'm not mistaken. I didn't watch that game fully, but I remember talking about it with somebody, and like, the Ravens should have been calling a timeout at a spot to set up Loop well, and they didn't get as much yardage as they could have for him to make that field goal. Like, they have so much invested in the Loop. Like, they spent a draft pick on him, which has already given him an inside track. So, yeah, I mean, I think he's talented. Like, he just looked really good throughout the season, and it's only year 2 for him. He's going into year 2. So I like what he can do moving forward, and, I think he can still improve. It was a really tough situation again. So, and the fact that, like, he had the mental attitude to, like, just kind of put it behind him and showed up to camp with a positive mindset and ready to get back to work and make sure that never happens again. Like, I give huge credit to the guy. Like, that had to have been a traumatizing experience. So, like, again, he's talented. So I think it's just going to take him a little bit of time. And, I still think he can be the future kicker of the Ravens.
All right. Thank you, sir. And one of the other questions, you kind of answered it, is like, would you rather have Jesse Minter over John Harbaugh? I think that's been said
honest
during this thing. I kind of got that. How you feel about that? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Honestly, I know I've thrown a lot of flack to John Harbaugh, but like he is a great coach. He's a winning head coach, and like you're running the risk of taking a new guy, bringing him in, and in favor of someone who's a proven winner. But they kind of just again stalled out under Harbaugh. So I think to make a change, get a new fresh voice, and like Jesse Benner's a Harbaugh disciple, or not a
Yeah.
disciple, but he coached under Harbaugh with the Ravens, like I think pre 2020. So
Yeah.
like I still think there are a lot of good values that John Harbaugh has, and it's evident because he's a winning head coach and he had a lot of success in his time as Ravens head coach. But you need to be able to like keep up with the times, keep the ideas fresh. Maybe you just needed a new voice in that clubhouse and such. Um, I think Jesse Minter is the right blend, and he can still combine, what Harbaugh did at a good rate with, some new ideas that can elevate this team to the next level under what I think is the best player in football, Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, and Lamar did sign off on Minter. Lamar was a third team quarterback when Minter was there, as well. So they actually got to work together every day, and he has a good relationship. I think that has a big factor in it. And Minter would have gotten a job, I think, around the league. The Chargers and somebody else definitely would have hired him. As well.
For sure.
Let's talk about you, Patrick. So you are here now, and I know you've been following on Instagram, Ravori Sports, and everything. And so now you are studying sports media. I know you have your own Instagram following there and everything that's going on. So you are doing play-by-play now for the Silver Spring-Takoma Park Thunderbolts there in the Cal Ripken League. So how have you enjoyed doing that play-by-play here as well? It's baseball is the toughest sport in my opinion to do play-by-play. Lots of storytelling.
Yeah, it's been a blast. I love the T-Bolts. Like growing up in Silver Spring, I'm from Silver Spring. Still live in Silver Spring. Like I grew up going to games with my dad, and we would just like pick a random summer night to get out to a home game and sit in the stands, and it was. And now it's cool to be where I am, up in the press box, calling games for them. Yeah, baseball is definitely a game of like patience. You gotta be willing to wait out the length of it and just have the mental fortitude to get through a game. But for me, it's just natural because I'm I'm baseball through and through. Like I'm from a baseball family, so yeah. It's been a true blessing, like to work my way up with the T-Bolts after a couple summers and get that job. It's been awesome. I've met so many great people. It's been a blast being able to call games, and yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want it any other way.
You said they saw you based on what you've been doing on social media. Is that right? I thought I saw you. I thought I saw you say that. Like they saw what you've been doing on social media and everything like that, and they reached out, or you were able to get a job because of that. Is that kind of elaborate on that?
Yeah, my journey actually, like, I got to where I am now because, like, I've been with them for a couple of years. So it was the summer back when I was going to be a sophomore in high school, rising sophomore, and I wanted a job, but, like, I couldn't get paid. So I found out that they had, like, game day internships with the T-Bolt. So I'm just like, oh, I can go there and do home games and stuff, hang out, do the best I can at this job. And I didn't get anything out of it. Like all they offered was service hours, and I didn't go to public school. So um, I was just there because I wanted to have fun and have a good time. And I did that for a summer. And then that following summer, I actually thought I was going to be doing the same thing, except I wanted to get paid. So I applied for a job with the big train, and I ultimately didn't get it. That was my fault. That was on me that I didn't end up with them, but I appreciated them giving me a look. And then the summer going into my junior year, which was when that was, I went back to the T-Bolts. I'm like, is there any job I can have? And they gave me a job as music director. So I took that and played music in the stadium for all the home games, or as many as I could at least. Um, and then that was the first summer I did some on-air stuff. Like I technically wasn't a member of the media team, but they were allowing me to do like half the game as a color commentator, doing analyst work. So I did that, and then had a lot of fun doing both of those, roles and jobs and such. and then it was that following summer where I officially became part of the broadcast team and did that. And then I started writing along with broadcasting. So now I've gotten to the point where I'm mostly calling games, but still, doing beat writer work, and it's been super fun to just kind of work my way up. Puts life in perspective, and yeah, it's a great team to be with.
Part of the Cal Ripken League, right? That's the senior league, the highest level of Cal Ripken
Yep.
baseball. So it's kind of like similar to I'm here in Winchester, Virginia, similar type thing. We have the Winchester Royals, and I saw they're kind of like a parallel type thing. They have college players playing during the summer so they can go ahead and get better as well.
Yeah.
Some of them actually go played in the major league. So what's been your interaction with the players like? Certainly as a play-by-play guy, is like now you are in your case, going to college yourself. So what's it like? Does that help you with interaction with players and speaking with the young men?
It does. I'm at the point now, like being a rising freshman in college, where they're kind of my peers. Like they're guys on the team that are my age, so it's gotten easier over time for me. And like the T-Bolts have a really good retention rate where players want to come back. So like since I've been coming back year by year, they keep the same guys rolling through the roster, and it's really cool to interact with them. Like the guys will recognize me, and I'm always down to say hi and talk to the players, coaches, and such. It's a cool opportunity to just get to interact with the team and such. They're all like really good guys that are willing to be friendly to the media and such, and just have a relationship with them. So yeah, I actually did a feature article. It's on my Substack, which I started recently on one of the players, and that was a blast to put together. He's a great guy. So yeah, I mean, it's cool to interact with the players, and like they're easily accessible. They're around the same age as you for a college level, internship. So yeah, I mean, no issues on my end for that.
You're going to college here pretty soon. You're going to study media. I think we talked about it off camera here. My brother went to Western. That's how long ago it was. It was called Western Maryland.
It was in Western Maryland. Yeah.
That tells you how long ago it was out there in Westminster. Gorgeous campus. I remember that even to this day. What's your assessment of a young person trying to get into media nowadays? It's different than it was. I'm really interested to hear your thoughts on that. Like what a young person should do if they want to be in the media.
I think it's just in today's world, it's really easy to get into that stuff. And like I started in 6th grade, like starting my own podcast. It was an easy way to do it, and like I didn't like make it. I didn't put it on the internet or anything, but I had like family and friends support it and stuff. And yeah, it's just like you can do writing and start your own like Substack website, whatever. Create a podcast really easily. Like there's so many accessible tools on the internet, and as long as you have a passion for it, like it doesn't even have to be sports. It can just be anything you like or you're interested in that you want to talk about. You can go do it, and that's the beauty of like today's world and how far technology has come. So yeah, I mean, it's anyone who wants to start it, you can just start at a entry level, work your way up as long as you want to stick with it, and you can get to a point where you're really comfortable after a long period of time.
Do young people watch ESPN and legacy media at all?
I do a little bit, not a ton. I'm more like just watching games and stuff. Sometimes I'll watch it like MLB Network, ESPN, stuff like that. I'll dabble in it, but I don't honestly I don't pay too much attention to it.
MLB Network's kind of a different beast because in that
Yeah.
sense, other network they really don't talk about it. So it's kind of like that's kind of the one I think like, especially if you're an NHL fan, that's kind of the same deal.
Yeah.
If you want to talk about hockey all the time, you will more watch MLB Network as well. But like, do you have interest in that in doing like because that's what play-by-play more is, more on the legacy media side of it? Would you have more interest in becoming maybe a content creator or like social media, or do you have any interest in joining a legacy media at some point?
Maybe. I've never thought too highly of myself with like, becoming a a content creator, I'm like not super good with video editing, and I don't really like doing it a lot. But like, definitely joining a company and like, doing on camera stuff, I would want to do. Like, there's so many avenues in sports media that like I can pursue, and I also really like writing a lot, so I'm really down to do that. Um, there are a ton of different ways I can get in it, so I want to keep my eye on at the moment. So.
But if you could do one, what would you say the thing is, if there is anything you'd rather be doing? You'd rather become, would you, I think I've asked this question before a couple times. Would you rather have 50,000 followers on YouTube, or would you rather have the job as the Nats play-by-play person?
Oh, like a play-by-play job, Nats play-by-play. Like, I mean, obviously you can create your own content pretty easily nowadays, but for me, not like really my end goal. I just want to like be covering a team play-by-play, writing and stuff. That would like be my perfect scenario, but we'll see what happens. You never know what, opportunities could be coming across the ticker.
I hear that, man. And it's good nowadays to keep your options open with the way the world's going and things like that. So to have multi different thoughts and different things that you're doing out here as well. One other thing, real quick, is as well with the team that you're currently following. Struggling a little bit on paper. How I don't know if I even know how to word this, but is just winning and losing the biggest thing a lot of times for these young guys, or is it just development and getting better and all that when you speak to these guys as well? Do they really, how invested are they in the result? I think it's kind of a weird question almost for minor leaguers at times.
No, it's a great question. Like obviously you want to win. That's just any athlete ever. They want to rack up the wins and be successful. But like in the Ripken League, I think it is important to develop, and I think the real win is when you leave for the summer after 2 months, you're a better player than when you got there. And, especially working with wood bat, these guys like coming from college, they're used to aluminum. You can get that feel for the lumber. So just seeing them grow in that aspect is, I think, important. Well, you can just individually develop as a player, and the T-Bolts have a really good coaching staff that does that, where they give you that attention and you can just get the feedback you need to get better. But, obviously you still want to rack up wins, and, the T-Bolts are in a really tough division, and they're in the North, and most of the good teams are up in the North Division. So they're in a tough spot there. But for me, like, I like seeing the players grow and as individuals and as players. So yeah, I would say like it is more important to get better as a player rather than win as a team, because then you can take that back to college and be more successful. And a lot of guys that are in the Ripken League, like, they missed out on reps for whatever reason, and if they weren't getting a whole lot of playing time or if they got hurt and such, the Ripken League is like a to make up those lost reps, and then you can get back to campus, hitting the ground running and hoping for a better opportunity.
All right. Awesome. And one real quick thing, and I was thinking about that. I saw the picture with you on Instagram with Michael last year. Michael McConney was a play-by-play guy for the Ironbirds. We've actually had him on the channel here last year. What's your thought on that? Like the Ironbirds, exactly what happened and all that. Now in the draft league, now they're more of a team similar to
what
Silver
the keys
Spring.
were before they rejoined.
They're kind of like, yeah. Do you have any thought on that as far as what happened there, the Ironbirds?
Mm-hmm. First of all, shout out Michael Mark Anthony. He's the man. I did like broadcast, play-by-play camp, sports broadcasting camp. Got to meet him through that, and like he's such a good dude. I absolutely love it. Still in contact with him to this day, and he's crushing it on the college side. Yeah, the Keys coming back, I think, was good because like they had been an affiliate of the O's, and like Frederick deserves to have that team there. Like I'll always go back to the Ironbirds were the high A affiliate for as long as they were because Cal owned the team, Cal Ripken,
Thank
and the O's weren't going to say no to Cal. So,
Thank you very much.
like Cal,
Nobody said, oh, I
put,
love that. That's
yeah.
fantastic. Nobody says that. Everybody says the facilities
Mhm.
and everything else. But yeah, that's exactly what it was. The Ripken connection.
Yeah, I
They
mean,
didn't
like,
want to, yeah.
it was a beautiful stadium. I absolutely loved it when I was there. Like, I really enjoyed going to games at Aberdeen, but like, that's just Cal pouring in money, and like the O's are never going to say no to Cal. He is like the king of Charm City. So from that like standpoint, the Ironbirds are going to hang on. But then like once Cal sold the team, I was honestly kind of surprised that they brought Frederick back. I loved it because I think Frederick's a great like baseball town for that. But the Ironbirds had a lot going for them and just didn't end up working out, which is too bad. But Frederick is back, and that's cool. I'm hoping to get to a game soon.
They didn't draw, like according to Steve Molesky. He said they just didn't draw as well as they would have as did Frederick. That's probably right too. They probably did more.
Yeah, Frederick, like, again, those people are loyal out there. The Keys were in Frederick for such a long time as an O's affiliate, so those fans are right there. Like, they're kind of the Frederick faithful, and Aberdeen, like, yeah, like it was a great stadium, great experience, but not as many fans, I would assume, as Frederick. And at the end of the day, it's the quality over quantity.
All right. Tell the people where they can find you, Patrick.
Yeah, so obviously you can find me at the T-Bolts. We stream all our games on YouTube, really easily accessible. Beyond the Ballpark, we're still keeping that going for what it's worth. Not uploading every week, but in there when we can. Hosted with my cousin. You can find us social media, any streaming platform. Kicking off an O's show soon from the studio to the yard. We're excited to get on that, covering the O's from top to bottom. Just want to shout out Monumental Media, doing some writing over there with that company. They're mainly taking photographs, but they have a website. You can read some of the DMV sports work that I do over there. And then what's the other one I was going to mention? Oh, Substack. You can check out my Substack. I got write-ups on the T-Bolts on MLB draft out soon. I'm excited to be covering the MLB draft this year. So yeah, plenty of places to find me, I would say.
Now you hear that, you legacy media guys. Listen to that resume, and he hasn't even started college yet. All this stuff right there. It's like if you're out there, you can follow this guy. Thank you very much, Patrick, for joining us here. Thank you also, you, Patrick, and everybody else out there. Like and subscribe to the Ravori Sports Podcast, all social media platforms as well. Thank you very much, and you guys enjoy the rest of your day.